Hi guys, as the Israelis and Palestinians were celebrating the ceasefire that's holding at the moment, Donald Trump was undermining it somewhat. So as we know, there's supposed to be a post-Hamas administration run by Tony Blair. But as Trump answered reporters on Air Force One, he sort of undermined that. Have a listen.
Tony Blair, yourself.
Everybody wants to be a part of it. I've had calls from all of the leaders of countries. They all want to be a part. I mean, the leaders themselves, they're not going to send somebody. They want to be a part of it.
Do you know who's going to be a part of it yet?
I do.
Can you share?
No, not yet.
Have you spoken to Tony Blair about it since the...
I'm going to take your ear things out.
Have you spoken to Tony Blair about it since...
You know, I want to find out that Tony would be popular with all, because I just don't know that. And I like Tony. I've always liked Tony, but I want to find out that he's an acceptable choice to everybody.
What guarantees have you been able to give to both the Israelis and the Arab countries?
Guarantees.
The Israelis are very concerned.
We have a lot of verbal guarantees too, and I don't think they're going to want to disappoint me. I have a lot of verbal guarantees that aren't down in writing, but they were given to me, and I believe they're going to be held very strongly. That's why I think it's going to be successful.
Okay, so verbal guarantees, not actually something written down, not something that you can hold up and say, hey, you were supposed to follow this. There's a big problem with this agreement is that it's based on vibes, basically. There's not a lot of detail. What's going to happen? What are the stages that are going to take place? I have a feeling that Donald Trump agreed to this just for the photo opportunity. So he could go there and claim that he achieved peace in the Middle East. He was actually at the Israeli parliament, the Knesset, where he was talking about how he had achieved peace that goes back hundreds of years, maybe even 1,000 years. We're not talking about 2003. 2023. We're talking about going back hundreds, maybe even 1,000 years. And thanks to Donald Trump, this peace has been achieved. And only Donald Trump, remember. Nobody else was involved. So this is concerning. That aspect. There's nothing written down. It's all verbal. And the other point, of course, is it seems that Tony Blair is out and somebody else is in. And it's possible, and I wouldn't be surprised if this was the case, that somebody walked up to Donald Trump, he looked at them and says, I like your hair, I'm going to put you in charge. And then we'll come up with an excuse for getting rid of Tony Blair after. Because his argument is that, well, maybe not everyone is fully on board with Tony Blair running this Gaza administration, this new Gaza administration. But surely he would have checked, or his administration would have checked beforehand, would have spoken to Palestinian groups in Gaza and asked, look, would you be happy with this? Would you be okay with Tony Blair running this? I'm sure they would have asked, maybe not Donald Trump personally, but the administration. And maybe they came back and said no, but they had already decided to go with Tony Blair. So it's possible somebody else came up to Trump and said, hey, I would like to do it. I'm a bit doubtful that it's actually the leader of a country. I think they have more things on their plate than, they have a lot on their plate. They don't need to get involved in something like this, which, to be frank, would be extremely difficult and complicated and politically complex to implement, trying to keep peace on both sides, trying to keep both sides happy. Now, as Donald Trump was on his way back to the United States, I saw this. This was posted at 7 a.m. on the 12th of October. This is from Israel Katz, who's a member of the Netanyahu's party. I think he's also a member of the cabinet. And this is extremely concerning because remember, the ceasefire is supposed to be in place. Israel is not supposed to be attacking targets in Gaza, but this is what we're hearing from Israel Katz. It says, and this has been translated from Hebrew, Israel's great challenge after the phase of returning the hostages will be the destruction of all Hamas terror tunnels in Gaza directly by the IDF and through the international mechanism to be established under the leadership and supervision of the United States. So they're going to go after the tunnels again. This was one of the first things that they mentioned at the very beginning. We're going after these tunnels because this is how Hamas are moving fighters in and out. This is how they're moving supplies in and out. So it seems that the tunnels are going to be attacked once again. Now, remember, some of the tunnels turned out to be not tunnels, or they had been not used by Hamas. And we're going to see a lot of rebuilding taking place in Gaza. People are returning, they're trying to put together whatever's left of their homes, and there's a risk that, well, the IDF may think that this is Hamas rebuilding a tunnel or reconstructing some sort of crossing or some sort of infrastructure and then attack it, when it's actually just people rebuilding their homes. So there's a real concern here that the ceasefire may not last. This is the primary significance of implementing the agreed upon principle of demilitarizing Gaza and neutralizing Hamas of its weapons. So, well, I thought Hamas had been neutralized. I thought it had been demilitarized. This was one of the objectives that the IDF had at the beginning. And now Netanyahu has said that the war is over. They have achieved their goals. But if they have achieved their goals, why is Israel Katz talking about continuing? I've instructed the IDF to prepare for carrying out the mission. So things are going to start again, according to Israel Katz. So while Donald Trump may be celebrating getting his photo opportunity, it seems the situation has not been completely resolved. Let me know in the comment section, guys, what you think, and I'll see you in the next video.